I've got a lot to do, and I figured I'd go ahead and get started on our live stream. Come on in. Welcome. Let me get the chat rolling. By the way, guys, just wanted to say a huge welcome to some new students. Mirko, Felicia, Martin, JR, Pinkham. It's so meaningful that you would join Full-Time Game Dev. And, well, it does support the channel. So, as always, thank you so much for joining. But also, it supports you guys who have joined the program. So, thank you so much for joining. And I wanted to let you guys know that today's video is sponsored by me, Full-Time Game Dev. This is my course, Full-Time Game Dev. Spring sale event. Guys, this will close down in 13 days. Yes, it absolutely will. The 50% off will go away, and the free 3D Art Pro and 2D Art Pro courses will go completely away. So be sure to check this out below. You're going to learn everything I've learned in the last, man, I always get this wrong. It's been like a decade or longer of making games, but not only making games, doing it full time. That's why this course is so special. And by the way, if you're in the course, let me know in the chat what you think about it. It's special because, well, you know, not all courses are taught by somebody who's actually doing it. So if you want to become a full-time indie game developer, this course not only teaches you the technical side, the art side, Godot, Unreal, Unity, whichever one you want to learn, if you want to learn all three or just one, 2D, 3D, it covers everything, coding, but it also covers how to go full-time. How exactly do you get funded and how exactly do you go full-time? Like Lord Grimm here, or my buddy Chris. He's my buddy now. He was my student, but now he's my buddy. Chris, who went full-time, actually got published by Humble Bundle, actually did a Kickstarter campaign, all because he followed this course. So be sure to check it out, 50% off below. Join over 4,000 students worldwide. All right, guys, I'm going to see you on the other side, inside of Unity. Let's go. By the way, guys, feel free to download my free 2D game kit below. It's totally free. It's my treat to you. I used this exact 2D game kit to make a game for PewDiePie in 14 days, and then I got to play it in front of his subscribers, which was really awesome. So download that. Use it however you want. It's my treat to you. Yeah. Okay. So listen, guys, you know, we've got well, you know, I've had some consultation about my game, Twisted Tower. We have a demo. It's a private demo internally being sent around just to team members and members with my publisher. And one of the primary concerns mentioned is that a lot of the layout for the level, a lot of it feels like it's actually a hotel, or, you know, some levels are like a water park, or we've got a castle, and it's all part of this big theme park. One of the problems, though, is that sometimes the levels feel, well, they feel kind of like that the hotel was purposefully designed to be violent, but that's not part of the story. The story is actually that the hotel was originally built, and then slowly it became more violent. And so what we're thinking about doing is changing the elements that look dangerous, making those elements seem a bit more modified. Like Mr. Twister, the antagonist, the billionaire who owns this park. We want it to feel like this antagonist adjusted the tower and made modifications to it. So here's a really good example. This part right here, it feels, you know, could you actually explain what's going on here? If I showed you this screenshot, would you know what it meant, what was going on? And so that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to figure out how to make this tower look like it's been modified to be more dangerous, okay? And so what I want to do here is we're going to bring a lot of this into Photoshop, and we're going to create a task. But you can't create a task, you can't create a brief for your team about what to do if you can't jump inside of Photoshop and do a concept. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make a concept of this area in particular to make it feel like it was built this way, that it's sort of supposed to be modified to become a trap. Does that make sense? Have you ever thought about making a procedural maze? That's a good idea. That would be really cool. I don't know if I want to do that for this game. Procedural generation, who knows one of the primary problems with procedural generation as it pertains to making a 3D game, especially for console, okay? Does anybody know? The problem with procedural generation as it pertains to porting to console. So here, by the way, guys, here's some examples in Photoshop of what I'm trying to achieve. What do you guys think about stuff like this? So you notice that there's a door here just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. And so what I've done here is said, okay, well, maybe we can put plywood and slats and rebar coming out of a broken wall to make it look like it was sort of modified to be there, like a hole was punched into the wall. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know what you think about that. Wouldn't this require a lot of change to the level design, Thomas? Yeah. Not necessarily the level design. It's more of a set dressing. It's a set dressing problem. It's 100% a set dressing problem. It's going in and dressing areas to look like they're more modified as opposed to just sitting there. Okay. Currently, with like, here's an example. This scene here. Here it is. Wait. Yeah. This scene here. This is what it looks like without it. Okay, it's kind of like, what's going on here? Did he design it this way? Did the creator of this park do it on purpose? Is it a house of horrors? Or was it once a beautiful theme park that was modified to be incredibly deadly? And that's what we're trying to achieve here. Does that make sense? And Felix, this was not my idea. This was Jason's idea. Jason is the creator of Cultic. Has anybody played Cultic? And he and I had a call yesterday, and he said, man, you gotta make it feel more like it's been modified so that it's sort of justified within the story. So do we agree that this is a good idea? Yes or no? We've got 120 people in the chat. Is this a good idea? So this is what it looked like before, okay? And the goal is to make it look like the hotel and the theme parks around the hotel are modified to be deadly and dangerous. And this is how we do it. Stuff like this. Do we agree with this? Oh, wow. Okay, good. I was expecting some pushback. Does it make sense with the story? Do you guys feel like this looks like you would understand it? Does anybody have any ideas about how we could maybe make this more clear? Or do you feel like it's pretty clear? Yeah, it gives the environment a story. I like that. Yeah, we could definitely do some textural changes. So we could maybe change this wall here to be like just dirty, nasty drywall or plaster, you know? But what we don't want to do, this is the challenge with any 3D game. And I'll tell you guys, I remember asking a question earlier about why it's so difficult to make a procedural generated game for console. I'll tell you that in a second. But one of the difficulties with making a 3D game is that you don't want the set dressing to influence the gameplay too much. Set dressing is exactly that. It's a dressing. It's maybe doesn't even have colliders. It's really supposed to be just a flourish to add environmental storytelling. By the way, again, or to wrap up my previous point, the reason why it's so difficult to make a game for console that is procedural generated is because console is it's not the highest performing hardware. You know, you've got very high-end PCs, gaming PCs that people are using for Steam games, but man, when you're playing a PlayStation or an Xbox game, or God forbid, a Switch game, it's very difficult to have real-time lighting, real-time shadows, real-time objects that aren't culled out. And so it's much better to have a game that's static, or it's much easier to have a game where everything's static and baked, okay? Okay, you should add more scaffolding in areas to make it look like it was being worked on. I love that. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I don't know what else to use. Wood planks, to me, what we're trying to do is create the most contrast here between a beautiful, Art Deco hotel and then make it look like it's being modified. I guess we could do scaffolding. Yeah. Let's see here. What we could do, that's a good idea. We could do scaffolding. That's sort of like this. But again, it has to fit in with the current gameplay, right? So we could maybe make this cube down here. You can't see it, but there's a cube here. We could make it into maybe a cube with scaffolding below it, just to sort of try and get a point across. So let's go ahead and try that. And why are we doing concepts? Why is Thomas doing concepts today as opposed to actually implementing it into the game, right? Why are we spending time in Photoshop? Does anybody know? Why not just go ahead and do it? Yeah, this is going to be cool. And we can even like rotate them a little bit to make it feel like they're broken. Stable diffusion does help with concepts. I totally agree. We use AI art all the time. For concepts, we don't use it in the actual game. Concept is faster than doing it in Unity. Sure, it's faster, but is it faster if you're going to go here's the question, devil's advocate. Is it actually faster? Because doesn't doing concepts kind of make you do the work twice? Who knows why we're doing concepts here? Because I'm actually, in a perfect world, if I were to take this and then go and create the exact same thing in Unity, I actually just doubled my work because I did a concept and then put it in the game. But why am I always doing concepts? That's number one. Caesar, yes, give a vision to the team. What's the other reason? Let's say you don't have a team. Should you not do concepts then? Who knows why? Brainstorming, sure, but what is brainstorming? What do you mean? Why is it good to brainstorm? We can definitely do some pipes here. Who knows why we want to brainstorm? It's you mentioned you sort of used the question to answer the question, but what's the real reason? Yes. Cool Angel said it the fastest way possible. Fail fast. Fail fast. There is no way, even after 10 years of making games, that I'm going to fully grasp exactly what I want to see here. And so your job as a game developer is to fail fast. That is absolutely true. And so why would I go ahead and create a 3D implementation, add the colliders, put it in the game, and then later find out I hate it? Why not just do it in Photoshop so I can see it? Even better, here's a faster way to fail. Do it live, like I'm doing right now. When you do your concepts live, people can go, we don't really like that, Thomas. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I get what you're trying to do, but it's not working for me. Maybe try this, maybe try that. That's why I love live streaming. One of the primary reasons I love live streaming is so that I can get feedback, instant feedback from you guys. And so I really, really appreciate you guys being willing to hang out. Deep Pack says, big fan, bro. Big fan, bro. That's awesome. I'm glad you're a big fan. Okay, look, we can do pipes like this, scaffolding. We're trying to make this tower look like it's been, and here's been modified, is what we're trying to do here. Now, here's the big problem, guys. If we do this too much with all of the environment, it's going to be confusing. It's going to feel like, okay, is it under construction? What's going on? But if we do it in areas, specific areas that look really off, like this area here had a doorway just sitting there in the middle of nowhere, that's the areas we want to do it to. Because what we're trying to do is create contrast. Contrast in environmental storytelling benefits from contrast. A great example is BioShock. When you have a beautiful sort of Atlantis, and it's this utopia, and then you throw blood all over the walls, that's contrast. We want to do the same here, okay? So this is going to be cool. I'm going to go ahead and add this to ClickUp, which ClickUp is our project management system. So I'm going to add this to one of the tasks so that it's clear what we can do here. And, it's kind of scary seeing all this because, it's scary for me. It's scary for my team because they're going to see this and go, holy crap, I've got 12 levels and each level has 2 ways to play the level. And I've got to go in and find all the areas that do this and then add all these meshes. But what I'm going to have my team do is create like 6 or 7 prefabs that are just ready to go, and you just slap them all over the place. That's the goal, okay? I'm making a Game Boy Advance game, and oh my goodness, concepts save your life because you want your workflow to be as smooth as possible. That's right. I love that. Fail fast. Guys, I really, really love that phrase. I know that that's probably, I think someone else said that in some self-help book, but that's great, whoever said that. And I think you should probably you all should write that down, put it on a piece of paper, and slap it above your monitor, because failing fast is I think it's what separates the veterans from the noobs. A veteran game developer is going to concept all the time. Because they just don't trust themselves. They don't trust their team to come up with something immediately. You've got to play. You've got to have fun and sort of play with ideas. That looks good. Scaffolding there. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is one of the primary mechanics in the game, which is you come up to these golden doors, you pull a lever, and they open up, okay? Man, the problem with this is it looks like it was built originally with the hotel. It looks like it was built originally with the theme park. We have various parks in addition to the hotel. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and figure out a way to make this look like it was built and placed over the hallways, sort of blocking off the player. So what I'm thinking of doing here I got to think about it. What do we do here? Does it need to be a circle? Yes. No, it doesn't need to be a circle. Does it need to be golden? Yeah, but maybe not, because it's in the current dialogue, but we might change the dialogue to say something like a spiral. Or maybe it'll say A and then B on it. Or letters. Letters. Yes. Letters. Okay. On big wooden planks. And there's ropes with chains and like gears. Okay, I've got it. Guys, Gordon Arbor's in the chat. And so is Hector. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Who knows who Gordon Arbor is? Can somebody tell me? Who's Gordon Arbor? Why is it special that Gordon's in the chat? Give me just a sec here, guys. Just a sec here. Just a sec. Sorry, guys. Give me a sec here. Got to do something for my family. Okay, so we've got these big golden doors here, and these big golden doors are, basically they just force the player to choose a path. And so what I'm going to do is put letters on them. We're going to start with A or B. And so the player's going to be like, okay, I could choose path A or B. But the next floor, we're going to choose A or C, right? And so the next floors after that, we're going to do something like C or D, okay? And then the next floors after that, we're going to do like H and K? What? And slowly the player's going to learn that they're spelling a word. And that is going to help us get to one of the multiple endings, okay? So hopefully that's going to make sense for the player, but let's go ahead and get that set up here. Gordon, I know that did we ever create the red checkmark system? Because now I think we're going to need an X over the letter once you've gone through it. But we're also going to need a decal projector on the doors that project the letters. Yeah. You know, what's interesting, yeah, we've got plenty of stanchions, by the way. But great idea. We have plenty of stanchions. But something that I've been sort of struggling with and just thinking about often is how much I change things and, force my team to, basically sort of override their previously done work. And I hate that about myself, and I wish that I was different. But the truth is, I was really encouraged when I heard, what's his name? Jay Armstrong just tell me that even with Cult of the Lamb, they scrapped so much work. Because a lot of times you don't know something until you do it. And that's why you fail fast, right? But sometimes you can't fail fast. Sometimes you implement the entire thing and it's just not working, So, yeah. So Gordon says, we did have that system, but I think with the save system changes, we'll need to rework it a bit. Yeah, probably. We'll see. All we really need to do is tell the player that they've gone through a path so that in New Game Plus mode, they know which door they went through and they have to go through the other. They know which door they went through. Yeah. But the second time a person plays, they'll probably have the code. They'll probably know the correct word and go through the correct paths to beat the game correctly. So, yeah. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking here for these doors. And then what we'll do is maybe like some planks across, sort of connecting them. Always think like an architect with especially 3D art. Think about, okay, if I was an actual architect creating a real door, how would I build it? Well, you probably wouldn't just have slats like that. That's a fence, right? They're sort of bolted into the ground or they're dug into the ground. Right here, it's not a fence, it's a panel. And so what we're going to do is add a panel over top like this. Or some boards over top like this so that it feels more like it's sort of held together. There we go. And let's add some highlights. I'm trying to make this look as 3D as possible, but quickly. And it really helps to have a mouse like this. And the reason why is because it sort of forces you to do 2D art in a 3D way. Notice how I'm using a lot of vertices here. I'm not painting anything. I'm clicking things. And that's very similar to how 3D art is made. Okay, let's see here. Let's merge all this together. Okay, something like this. By the way, those of you just joining us, just remember you can get 50% off Full-Time Game Dev. Full-Time Game Dev is my massive program with over 4,000 students worldwide. By the way, if you're a student, let me know in the chat what you think about the program. I always can say that because I'm fairly confident in the program. I'm very confident in the program because people love the program and they always say they love it whenever I ask in the chat. So feel free to let me know what you think about it below if you are a student. Okay, we'll do white like this. Good. That I don't know what happened here. Okay. Whoops. But the link is below if you guys want to support the channel, but more importantly, support yourself on your game dev journey. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking with the golden doors. Maybe we'll make them a little bit bigger. Let's make it bigger so that we have more room to do letters. Okay, so we'll do like a letter like this, like it's painted. I love that. Is the volume too low? Okay, let me turn it up. Check 1 2 and 2. Check 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 check. All right. Marketing. Kyle says the marketing side of the course is the best. I appreciate that. Thank you. I hope you learned a lot from it. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some sort of red paint here. Just some letter decals. And hopefully, Gordon, are you still in the chat? Hopefully we'll be able to implement this into a system so that the player has to spell out a word. But they don't know they're spelling out a word. They think they're choosing path A or B. But then the next floor, they're like, wait a second. Now there's path B and A. And then the next floor, they're like, wait, that's path D and R? What? And then slowly they learn they're spelling something. That's the goal. So yeah, Gordon, listen up. Hopefully that makes sense to you, bud. Okay. Very good. I like that. Is there any way we can make this look a little bit more handmade? Sure. We could do nails. Like it's quickly thrown together. Like this. Yes, Gordon, 100%. Let's see here. All right. Add a little bit of light coming down just so it feels like it's... Isn't that cool, guys? It looks like it's part of the world. And that's just because if you're brilliant like me and you're good at 2D art, well, you can make it match into your theme, into your world. One of my favorite things to do, and I think I'll probably be doing this for decades, is spending my time in Photoshop just illustrating something to look 3D, sending it off to my team. You can use Stable Diffusion, you can use AI art, but if you have a vision, and you should, if you have especially an artistic vision, then going into Photoshop and creating all these cool concepts helps your 3D artist grasp the style. And once they grasp that style, they can then replicate that over and over again. And oftentimes they'll even be able to think visually the same way you do, and they don't need to see a concept for everything. But starting out, it's especially important. All right. Now. What am I doing? Ah, yes. Let's figure out a way to make this feel a little bit more handmade. We can do like... No, I was going to have a rope going across, but... Oh, absolutely. AI art is great when you don't need a specific vision. I know some people would disagree with me on that, but it's really difficult to get AI art to work for you when you have a very specific vision. And right here, I'm sort of illustrating in the way in which I know my 3D artist can, and his name is Felipe, he's brilliant. I'm illustrating in a way that I know that he can replicate. So I'm not creating something that is going to be too difficult for him. I know we have a budget and we have time. He can pretty much do anything, but I'm specifically thinking, what's the most efficient style that we can get away with? And this is that style. It's super low poly, it's simplistic. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm sort of illustrating in a way that I know he can replicate. That's ultimately the goal. Let's do a little cross here. So it almost looks like a goblin created these. And there's a stark contrast. You know, you've got this golden world, this golden Art Deco tower, and then it's smack dab against these sort of cheap traps, right? And so that's ultimately the goal here, is to make it look like these are traps created by a sinister antagonist to sort of stop you on your path. Do you feel like I'm accomplishing that, guys? Nails need to be sticking out more? Sure, we can do that in the actual 3D design. Right now we're trying to get it working in the abstract here. just visually makes sense in the abstract. But let's add some shadows here. The rails. The rails are a little too fancy, so they might need to be... How would you do it? Yeah, I would do it with ropes. Ropes, maybe? It's like the Joker took over this building and is messing with Batman. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. 100%. Friedrich asks a really good question here. How come you want to have both ropes and nails? Aren't they both performing the same function on this panel? It's primarily, it's what Walt Disney said with animation. I don't know the exact quote, but it's basically like, you just need to double up, triple up your animation so that you're really emphasizing a point. You never want the viewer to, especially playing a game quickly or watching a movie quickly, you never want them to sort of be confused a little bit and then just move on. You want them to go, I get it, I understand. So with this, they need to go, handmade door, I've got it. Cheap, after the fact, thoughtless door, got it. So that's ultimately what we're trying to do here. Okay. Now let's talk about this here. I'm going to, first and foremost, I'm just going to fill in the gaps here. And guys, you'll notice that I'm not adding any distance to the mesh. I'm not changing the sizes of the mesh because the game is done. We're going in and now tweaking the set dressing, okay? And so what we don't want is we don't want to change the gameplay. And Gordon is actually really good at this, even in his code. I think Gordon, correct me if I'm wrong here, Gordon told me something like, I'd rather make, not efficient code during the final production of a game than go in and make fancy code that screws with the final version of the game. Because we're almost done, okay? So you don't want to mess with stuff. So it's better to make things that they don't look perfect, or the code isn't super efficient, or it's not perfect code. But as long as it doesn't interfere with the game or break the current game, we're good. So really, it's kind of like duct tape is what we're doing here. Thomas, do you have any tips on focusing and reducing procrastination? Yes. The best way to reduce procrastination is to actually want to finish your game. It's hard to want something when you don't really deep down need it. How many of you forget about, drinking water? Actually, I think a lot of people do. But, you're never going to let yourself thirst to death, okay? And that's because you really, really, really need it. And your body will not let you, as to the best of its ability, your body is not going to let you stop drinking water. The same is true with game development. It's going to be really hard to finish a game if you don't want it. Most people think they want it, but they don't really, because, well, if they really wanted it, if they ultimately basically needed it, they would finish the game. So procrastination is a result of not really wanting something, in my humble opinion. All right, so I think ropes with a pulley system is kind of going to be our best bet here. So something like a steel pulley wheel. With when in doubt, send a very strong signal. Here's a strong signal. It's almost like a logo. When people see that, they go, oh, it's a screw. And so what you want to do is when you're trying to communicate something quickly and efficiently, use things that people know, especially like screws like that. Okay, so we could do a pulley system like this with some chunky ropes. Now the question is, do the ropes actually connect to the bottom of this? Because I'm thinking about functionality here. And the answer is going to be no. I think all they need to do is just go down like this. That's about it. Where the F? Hold on. Let's see here. So try and communicate strongly what something is, especially when it's in the distance. So, man, that's so annoying. I'm like furious. There we go. Yeah, you want to try and communicate strongly what something is with sort of universally recognizable shapes. And so in this case, because we're making a sort of toony, low poly game, we can do this. It's easier to do this, watch. So if you do two contrasting colors and then do an overlay like that, now it's going to look 3D. All right, so we got our ropes. Let's go ahead and just add a shadow. Very good. And one of the reasons, guys, why I'm using neutral colors here as opposed to vibrant yellow doors and stuff is because I want to be able to use these throughout the entire game. Every biome in the game, every chapter in the game, or you could call it every theme in the game, has a variety of different colors, right? And so having neutral browns, they're going to work across the board with any floor or any level. Okay, so what do we think? Anybody have any questions about this? Do we feel like this works? So does this feel more like it's a homemade trap door? We could probably put a panel below it, like it's bolted to a piece of wood. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like a saw or a wrench. I love that. Just sort of sitting on the floor. The C is, well, we talked about it and you weren't here, so you're not going to get an answer because you should have been here. You arrived late to class, so I'm not going to give you an answer. You guys think this makes sense? What is everybody listening to these days? Is anybody listening to some cool music? Trapdoor needs more blood, blah, blah, blah. Michael Jackson, says Amir. Awesome, I love Michael Jackson. Funfair facades. All right. How does it trigger? It's using a lever. Okay, so what we need to do with the levers, we need to make it look like they were installed. How do we do that? We're doing a lot of concepts here. Today's going to be fun. Lots of concepts to get this done. Because I think Felipe, our 3D artist, he's going to be starting on this. Let's do this really quick. I need to write this down. Decal of a letter from A to Z. Everything's clicking, thank God. You know, it's like, how many of you are in the phase of your game's development where nothing is fully clear to you? And it's such a weird feeling because like half of yourself is like, I'm fine. I think I understand. I got it. I know what my game is. I know what the story is. I know what the visuals are. But there's another part of you that's saying, no, you don't. You don't know what this game is. You have no clue. And you sort of flounder. And that's normal. Floundering is normal in game dev. It's really hard to predict what your game actually is until you make it and then toss it and then make something else and toss it. It's just a guess and check process. Okay, I'm going to add this to ClickUp. Make a wall piece broken with gears visible. We can't break wall pieces. It's too much work. It's breaking the level design, and the the mesh underneath the entire level. So we can't be breaking walls. So I think that looks great. I don't really have any issues with it. So we're going to go ahead and add that in here. And yeah. Sorry, I'm just adding it to click up here. Okay. What else did we have? This area here, it kind of works. Yeah. I think there's a bigger priority here, and that's these staircases. So what we're gonna do is, these staircases are way too. It looks like you're in like a really fancy theme park or a fancy escape room. Theme park's fine, but what we want it to do is we want it to look more like it's been tinkered with. I think I'm okay with the golden floor, the golden stairs. They really should be wood though, guys. Oh man. Can I do that quickly? And, here's the thing. The truth is that yes, I can make excuses all day long about how I should have, how the guess and check process is all part of game development and you don't need to worry about it. But the truth is you can always be more efficient. And so, yes, 100% with this game, I could have been much more efficient and thoughtful. And so for the next game, my hope is that, and that my prayer is that I don't have to change my mind so much on things. What we're going to do, let me think here. We want this golden plate to be maybe rusted and bolted to the ground with like some wood planks on it. Let me think here. Try to visualize it. This is a big one. Okay. What we're going to do is make this look like rusted metal. So this golden part here, we're going to just make it rusty looking. And instead, we're going to have a big screw right in the middle. A rusty screw like this. I don't like how that has. We need to just do a sort of flat colored. Yeah. This one's tough. Yeah. This one's tough. We're going to get it. Want it to look cheap. The staircase needs to look like it was originally there, and then they attached this weird trap system to it so that it could rotate. That's really what we're trying to make it look like. Like the stairs were originally there in this spot, and then we attached these planks to it, or this old steel rusty system. So I'm going to grab a rust texture. The owner is a billionaire, yes. So he's kind of a crazy mogul. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of a highlight here. How do we do this quickly? Or practically? Like, I got it. Trying to create a sharp edge here. So the way that we do it is use our brush. And then this is going to be dark, or no, light, dark here. Invert our selection. And then dark here. Just trying to communicate with the team here what exactly is going on. Yeah, I can tell now. Yeah, there we go. It's some kind of rusty looking plate, okay? And what we can do here is just type in rust texture and see if we can grab one on Google. Just sort of stick it on there like that. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine about how much we need to be doing this for the game. And I want to get a poll. I know for a fact that we want to make things look modified with wood planks and traps. We want those traps to look very obvious in the first couple chapters of the game. So the first hour of gameplay. But for the rest of the game, I feel like as you go up the tower, it's not going to be so important to show everything looking like traps, like modified traps. I feel like you can get away with getting wackier and wackier as you go up through all the different parks. With a hotel, though, and that's the first level, it's really difficult to justify a lot of this stuff. It's a challenge. So that's why we're doing it, especially with the hotel. No, Red Panda, that's a great idea. We cannot be making major changes like that. We need to stick to the current design of the game. Otherwise, that's just going to be basically feature creep. For us, I'm not saying for everyone, but for us in this current game, yes, we cannot be going that crazy with stuff because we are running out of time here. But this is an important thing to fix. We're going to do a screw here. And we'll use wood planks in just a sec. Oh yeah, that's what we needed. Let's invert the selection and then we can do a subtle highlight right here. And you can do these kinds of highlights actually with Substance Painter. I just love that name better even though they changed it. You can do this by sort of baking the normals and getting some cool sort of what do you call it? Disheveled or rusted edges and adding some occlusion to the edges, ambient occlusion. Look at that. Okay. So far so good. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to try and figure out where can we put some wooden planks and maybe some screws, right? Like it's bolted into the ground haphazardly. Son of a... What? Okay, and we'll just do a darkening here. What that? Wonder why that didn't work. Okie dokie. Thomas, I just watched your new video. It was fire. Thank you. We'll do some drop shadows here so they stand out. It's not rotating in the way that you think. Here's why. The only thing that rotates is this part. This was actually a really challenging element to create. The centerpiece does not rotate. So this centerpiece stays put. And so those will be the screws there. In fact, we could probably move them in. I'm glad you brought that up. We could probably move them in here. So the only thing that rotates is this thing around here. So the question then becomes, is there any way that we can use wood planks on this? And I think maybe. Something like, if we can incorporate wood planks, more the merrier. So the center here stays put. So maybe what we could do is do like a wood plank over top, like this. Excuse me. Trying to stop sniffing so much during live streams. Yeah, these traps are going to be so important for the world building. So important. I think it was a brilliant idea from... Props to Jason. Seriously, Jason, again, for those of you just joining us, that's the creator of Cultic. Jason did an incredible job giving me feedback about how to make this work, how to make the world feel more lived in. We're going to get rid of these screws for now, because instead we're going to use wooden planks. One of the reasons why I like making really abstract games is because you can get away with this kind of stuff. Just sort of inventing contraptions. As opposed to, is that a right word? Contraction? No, it's not that. Yeah, contraption. This one's going to go over here, and it's going to be bolted to the ground. Oh, that's a great idea. So like every once in a while you walk around and there's like wood planks that you can throw and stuff. Wrenches and toolboxes near these areas so it looks like it was recently made. I think that would be a really cool idea. The question should always be, is this worth my time? Is this element that I'm working on, is this feature creep, or is this actually necessary to, well, frankly, point back to the hook of the game? The original hook of your game, right? And in this case, I think it certainly is. Okay, let's go ahead and add a big old bolt right here. You do a bolt here, put a bolt here, and then one that's sort of a, yeah, we could do one here. And then what we'll do is have those go into, those rotate though. This one we don't need. Got to be thinking about what rotates and what doesn't. This interior piece is what rotates. So if I go over here, I can actually draw it out for you guys so we can see it better. This was something me and Felipe really had to look into and really discuss. So this is the element that actually moves. Imagine the stairs rotating. Yeah. So this piece here rotates. This interior piece stays put. So we're going to have it bolted into the ground like this. We could even do a little bit of a, really be thinking about it, guys. Think, okay, how is this actually how is this actually built, right? Could it work in the real world? And so that's why I'm adding little bolts here, sort of bolted to the ground. That one we could probably just remove this entirely. Actually, we could do. This one's tough, guys, but I think it's going to be all right. Yeah, you probably need it to be bolted here and here and then here. So it doesn't look like it's coming out of the screw. The screw is sort of a separate motif inside of it like that. But that's not going to work because that piece rotates in the middle. Ah, Thomas. We need something like that. Just subtle pieces of wood. Just trying to create that motif. We're using signals here. Motifs to signal, hey, this is a trap, right? This is something that was created after the fact. That actually looks really good. And let's add some wood to it, or some wood grain to everything. I'm going to take a screenshot just in case it doesn't save. And then the way we add wood grain to things is just subtle little lines. Just a gradient. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. It just needs to, when you blur your eyes, it should make complete sense. That's the goal here with these concepts. All right, almost there. I have to go do homework now. This is from Tom, by chat, by Thomas Brush. Will be definitely buying your game when it comes out. Thank you. That's sweet of you. We're working hard. You know what one of the biggest things for me is? I want this game to be good, not because I want to make money. I'm being completely sincere here. I'm not blowing smoke up your butts. I'm worried that I care a lot about like maintaining credibility. And so I just want to make sure that I do a good job here so that I can maintain my credibility. And yeah, it's kind of scary. Kind of look better the way it was. Okay, so that looks good to me. You know, the question is like, how is it attached to the stairs? And so what we might want to do is put a wood plank there, but on the stair side. So it's like you'd have a big wooden plank here. And then you'd have sort of them being cut into it. Maybe like 2 here. And they're like this. Use your inner eye to see the future. Okay, who knows what that's from? The reason I'm saying that is because I'm trying to use my inner eye here to see what this would look like. Use your inner eye to see the future. Ooh, don't wanna cut me loose. And you just sort of nail it here. I can't really break meshes, guys. So a lot of you are asking me to, break some of the meshes, blah, blah, blah. And we can't really do that because I don't want to change too much of the current meshes. So this is the idea here. We could probably make this piece of stair go all the way across like this. Yeah, why not? Squash them. Rotate them. Yeah, that's good. Will GVV got the quote. It's from Harry Potter. Very good. Good work, Will. Use your inner eye to see the future. We really want these planks of wood to be the same width, though. So what I'm going to do is try my best to make them look the same. Yeah, we need to do that. It's funny how certain things like this, half of you is like, is this really worth my time? And I really think this one is. I think this one is. It's because the story just isn't translating properly. It's really not. We've had some great feedback from our friends that are playing the game, and they felt like the game just didn't feel like it was actually a theme park. It felt like it was a fun house. And so I'm going to say, well, let's make it a theme park that has been tampered with. What if we could do 2 stacks? I just feel like it needs to look thicker, you know? So what we're going to do is take this and bring it down. Yeah. Just a little bit of a shadow down here. Yeah, I think it works. Felipe's gonna have fun with this one. Okay. Let's add this to our concepts here. Good. Do I have any other ones? I think we're good. Any other elements that Thomas needs to worry about? Yeah, it's crazy how quickly it starts to feel more like a hotel when you start to make the weird areas look like they were modified. This is good. This is good. This gate here, we're going to swap this out with wooden gates like that so that they look like they've been added. The levers, I think those are fine. Maybe just add some screws to them. Let's open those up. Yeah. Okay, so this one we're gonna do just some screws right here. Doesn't need to be perfect, guys. But it doesn't need to be perfect in its accuracy. It doesn't need to be perfect in its functionality, right? But it does need to communicate perfectly and quickly. There's a big difference between something being accurate and something communicating. And in fact, they're usually, or oftentimes, communicating something is fundamentally opposed to being accurate. In games, sometimes communicating something requires you to not be accurate. So here I'm going to do something which is kind of an example of this. Basically, we're going to make this look like it's attached via wood planks against the wall. It doesn't make any sense. Why not just attach the lever to the wall? But we're going to go ahead and do an object selection here. Hopefully it'll select this guy. Yep, good. Grab this too and mask that out. And then what we can do now is put maybe some wood planks below that it's attached to. So it looks like it was screwed into the wall. Dev says hello from Romania. Hello. Oh, I got a little drop shadow here. We might only have room to do one plank. If it was 1, 2, no, I think we can get away with it. Make it smaller. We'll flip it. Good. Yep. Merge all these together. Thomas, do you have a rough estimate of the release of the game? I do, but I can't say it because the publisher, 3D Realms, is working on a launch plan right now. So we want to make sure we're hitting our strategy for the trailer and all that stuff. And I'll add a little bit of gradients here to make it feel more realistic. One sec. We're just getting the general highlights down here. Do a little bit of a drop shadow. This screw here we could probably do here, and here, and here, and here. That's cool. And we'll do a wire going into the walls. So we do one here. And then one here as well. Ooh. We'll do something like this. And all this is a mesh, guys. It's not doing anything special. We really just want the player to feel like it's attached to the wall after the fact. We might need to do one wooden plank. I feel like it's a little complicated. So let's just pick one. I think that works. This we need to delete, merge these layers together. So we go down like this. And as long as we make it look like wood, by sort of just creating some lines, I think we'll be all right. Maybe change the color a little bit. So we'll darken it. Yes, yes. There we go. Maybe thicken it up a little bit. And maybe consider making one of the wires red. I don't know. That's cool. By the way, those of you just joining us, just remember this video is sponsored by my course, Full-Time Game Dev. Check it out below if you're interested in learning game dev. It is a premium program. Premium in the sense that it is freaking huge. Teaches everything you need to know about making games for every engine, at least Godot, Unreal, or Unreal or Unity. But also, it not only teaches the technical side for those engines and 2D and 3D, it also teaches artwork for 2D and 3D. And it also teaches marketing and how to get a publisher, how to secure six figures. I think it's the most comprehensive game development course out there. If you're kind of the person who you've dreamed of making games and you just want to make games, but you have no idea where to begin, and you don't want to scrub through all the tutorials on YouTube, this could be a huge investment because you're taught by somebody actually in the trenches making games. And everything I teach in the course, it's cool because I do those things. Like everything in the course, it's taught because, well, that's what I've learned through making games and going full time. And yes, I am actually a full-time game developer. I'm not just a YouTuber. My income comes from a variety of income streams, including game sales, platform deals, publishing deals, crowdfunding. So check it out below, 50% off, and there are 13 days left. And for real, it will close down after those 14 days or 13 days. This is great, actually. I wonder if we could probably, let's see here, maybe add in a, no, does this look like it's screwed into the wall, guys? Do we think this looks kind of like an after the fact, sort of an afterthought? Which is what we want. We want it to look like an afterthought. Hey Thomas, I bought Full-Time Game Dev back in August 2022, and I am finally ready to launch my Kickstarter campaign in order to secure funding. Hopefully secure funding. Just wanted to say thanks. That's awesome, Trekater. Cool. Does your course work for people outside the US? Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I think this is good to roll. So that is our, I do wonder what would happen if we added like a cool like wire here. I feel like we need, man, my heart is beating so fast because I feel like this is 100% the right move to make. This sort of design change to the visuals. And so I'm really, really grateful for people like Jason. Jason took the time out of his schedule yesterday, and Jason is the creator of Cultic, to just talk me through what he meant by this. He wanted the levers and the traps to feel like they were put there for a reason. And if we make it look like an afterthought, that actually is more of a reason than just randomly putting them there. They're an afterthought now. And I like that. They're a modification to a theme park to make the theme park more deadly, which to me is funny. So I love that. Okay, I'm gonna put this on. Click up. Oh, staples? That's a great idea. So like this. Yeah. That's awesome. Good work. And these will control these, you know? They'll control these. They'll control these. So they're sort of all part of a, you know, I could probably add some wires to this. I'm probably going to do that. Let's see if we can do that. But I'm going to add this to ClickUp here. Will the conversation with Jason be available to us? I thought about asking him if I could record it yesterday, but no. I was talking yesterday during, a live Q&A about a lot of you or one of you asked me and said, should I read a bunch of game design books? And I think that that's great. You can read game design books and you can learn game design. But one thing that I've found more valuable is just knowing people who are very, very, very smart and passionate about a certain genre of a game, and have them play your game. And they'll go, this is the norm, that's not the norm, that's not the norm. This is a cool deviation from the norm, you should try this. This is a bad deviation from the norm because it's frustrating. These are things you never would have thought of. And so for Jason, it was really a great conversation because these are things that I just wasn't thinking of. I really wasn't thinking of certain things. And Jason brought them to my attention, and I would have released the game without even thinking of them. Another one, and this is helpful because you guys mentioned this to me. So it's great to post to your socials as well and get feedback from your socials. So many of you are frustrated by the flashing effect when you collect stuff. It doesn't bother me. I don't think about it. So when the screen flashes white for a split second, that drives people crazy. I didn't even think about that. And so it's good to get feedback from your audience as well. Let's see if we can add some wires to some of these images here. This one in particular, like if something's being controlled by a lever, we might want to go in and add some wires to this. So maybe I don't know, like a box here that's similar in this style. I don't think I need to. Okay, anything else, Thomas? Well, yes. This is great, by the way. Felipe is so good at this stuff. And so I know he's going to do a great job with this because he's going to make it look like an afterthought in this way, but with like wooden planks and wires and stuff. He did a great job here. So similar vibes there. The keys, I think we're going to have to be okay with them. Maybe not, though. I just don't. I don't know if I like the locks in the game. I kind of wish they were padlocks. Let's go back to let's solve a problem before we solve that problem. The very beginning of this level. We have these. I think they're cool, and I love the idea of them being here. They're at the beginning of every level, and it opens the doors. It opens these doors, right? But what I need to do is we need to make sure we go in and make them look like they've been screwed into the ground, okay? I don't want to go to, I like the spiral. I think it's cool. I just think that we need to add some planks to make it look like they've been screwed into the ground. That's basically it. So what I'm going to do is add wooden planks to the base of these. I think it's a little too big here. And one of the reasons why you guys might want to continue sticking around and watching so that we can get to 500 viewers, let me incentivize you. It's really important that you guys know what's normal in the game industry. I'm not the perfect norm, but I am somebody who does this full time and has been very profitable making games. And so it's good for you to watch somebody who does it and go, oh, okay, so all those feelings I felt of being frustrated or insecure or constantly changing stuff or feature creep, even Thomas, who's been doing this for 10 years, does it too. And so hopefully you guys can get a good idea of what's normal so that you don't feel bad. You guys know I also like to sell courses and resources. And so I listen to books about how to do that. I'm very transparent about all this. I listen to books on how to sell courses and how to market yourself. And I was reading a book recently, and it was great because one of the guys who does it he was just really encouraging and said, look, if you're feeling these insecurities, that's normal. That's what every entrepreneur feels. And so it was really helpful to hear this stuff from somebody in my niche. And so the same is true with game development. If you're feeling really insecure about making games, sometimes it'll mean you quit. But the truth is that you probably shouldn't have quit, and you were just normal. So it's just important to keep that in mind, that what you think is abnormal is probably normal. Does that make sense, guys? And I hope that encourages you. You don't need to feel like a fraud or that you're a fake or you're not a game developer because it's hard. Oh my goodness, what a terrible way of thinking. Or because you failed. What's wrong with you? The only failure and the only thing that's wrong with you is when you quit. Because the people who are successful are the people who didn't quit after failure. Because everybody fails. That's normal, right? Everybody fails. That's normal. Something like that. Okay? And what are we going to do? Well, we're going to make it look like there's a practical way that this is attached to the ground. Something like this. Use those construction insights that you may have in your blood. I'm talking to myself. My grandfather was a he was a contractor. He owned a construction company, I believe. One of my uncles also does construction a lot. My dad was in construction. My brother is an engineer. My other brother's a software engineer. So we have a very sort of engineering mindset. At least I like to think that I do. And so I'm using those thoughts as I'm putting together this sort of pedestal. Using all of my economical thought processes as well. I definitely don't want Felipe to redo all of this art because I love this art here. But putting it and attaching it to wooden planks, to me, is a smart move. So we could probably create these little feet here where it's sort of been retroactively added here. Like this. And it's nothing crazy here. Maybe we could do one here, one here, one here. Does that kind of make sense, guys? That's ultimately the goal here. Yeah, we're making concept art. JMA, you arrive late to class and then you ask questions. You've got some nerve. All right, that's the idea for the pedestal there. I think it's fine. I kind of wish I had wires. You know, let's try it. And let's make these planks of wood look more like planks of wood. So the way we're going to do that, and I'm probably going to inform Felipe to make these planks not so thick, but frankly, all of the planks in the game should have a similar thickness and width. Otherwise, it can get really messy looking. Okay, good. Let's consider adding wires. So we could do like a a wire running out of this and running down this. And into the ground. Wires are tough, but sometimes they're necessary to get a point across. All right. Oh yeah. We'll do a black wire and then a red wire. Sort of just going into the ground. And we'll do a red wire as well. And we'll have it kind of shorter and it like goes into itself. Yeah, why not? I've seen comments bashing you for selling. This is from Nick's Dev. I've seen comments bashing you for selling courses, calling you a sellout. Does that stuff? Do you think about that stuff? Yeah, I think about it all the time. It makes me sad. No one likes to feel that way. But I also am an entrepreneur, and so I've got multiple income streams. And on top of being an entrepreneur, I know how many people I've helped. Look, if people have a problem with me selling a course that has a 30-day, it's got a 30-day, no questions asked money back guarantee. Meaning, if you buy the course and you're like, this is not valuable to me. If that's the case, you get your money back. So it's like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong there. If a few people have a problem with me selling a course, it's like, look, I'm not forcing people to buy it. You can, and even if you do buy it and you don't like it, you can return it. But I know a lot of you in the chat right now love the courses. So that's what keeps me sort of cool with it. I know a lot of you, a ton of you, thousands of you have benefited from the course. And students go full time with it. So I don't know what else to say. The alternative is, my team doesn't get paid and we can't make games. So, it is profitable. I do make money from it as well, but it's just one way that me and my team make money. Something like this, I think, is fine. I'm wondering about, is it too many planks? Maybe. Maybe. Let's try and just remove one of them and see how it feels. I kind of like just one. Yeah, I like this better. You want to be careful not to make things too complex because it can really overwhelm the player. So yeah, let's do a dark wooden piece underneath so it's sort of like elevated a little bit, and I think that'll do. Maybe have a wire coming out like this. Just making it look cheap. Yeah, maybe one in the back too. Just trying to make it look like this lever was an afterthought. Dub Case, it says it's just smart to have multiple streams of income. I agree, and this is what frustrates me, I think, about a lot of indie game developers. And I appreciate their principle, I really do. But if you want to stay full time and you want to be able to sleep at night as an indie game developer, it's really good to have a backup stream of income. Granted, for me, games have always been they pay a full time salary for me. I think it's been for 7 years, but now I can hire more people. I can have a bigger team and build bigger games because I have multiple streams of income now, and it's a nice feeling to be able to have multiple streams of income, and it's because of you guys, and I know that the courses help you guys a lot too. So, yeah, I feel like this gate here. I'm gonna redo this. So I had an issue. This one here is a little. Can you imagine seeing these wooden gates all the time? I feel like it's gonna be kind of messy. So let's try again, but let's do it a little differently here. Let's do like metal bars, but they're gonna be like wooden, maybe. Or they'll be attached with wood, So something like this. Just some cheap wooden planks. I think this is probably going to be much better. It'll look like an afterthought. Again, that's the goal here. All right. Well, Pono says, I liked how this looked before. It looked clean. And that's kind of the part of the problem. Sometimes something might look worse, but it communicates what the story is and what the world is better. And so you kind of have to make a sacrifice, especially with a limited budget, and say, how do I communicate this story as quick as I can? And I think that's going to be the solution here. I change my mind all the time, though, so you could be right. This is all concepting. We're trying to fail fast, right? Good. I wonder if we could just do some wires here. If we had... We really want this to look retrofitted against the wall. So I'm going to try a plank of wood at the top. Like this. We don't want it to... But you're right, we don't want to clash too much with the world. So... Good. Then you could maybe run a wire, sort of staple it along so that it goes right here. So let's do a black wire. And then we'll do a red wire. This might be too much. We'll see. But if we add some staples and nails and stuff, I think it'll be really helpful. So let's try this. Yeah, Caesar's saying, why are we doing this? We're doing this because the story is this billionaire had this beautiful theme park. People stopped coming to the theme park, but he was still power hungry and money hungry. So he created an incentive to come to the park, which is if you get to the top of the park, to the top of the castle, you get $10 million. Well, people started coming, and he retrofitted the park with all of these traps to ensure they couldn't get to the top because he didn't want to give away the money. Oh, there it is. I didn't even know that. Yeah, he doesn't want to give away the money. And so he kept adding all these traps, and he gave guns to all of his employees and guns to his cast members. And it just became a violent season. It was a season in the fall where everyone was coming to this park to try and get at the top. Kept adding more and more traps, and lots of people died. And so that's why we're doing this. Does that make sense, guys? Yes or no? Does that plot make sense? Plot sounds good? Awesome. And that was, guys, those incentives and that backstory, you could thank Jason for that. Jason helped me with that yesterday. I had it kind of sort of rumbling around in my head, but he sort of solidified it. Just and sort of confirmed, yeah, that's a good idea. But I think he also had a few additional ideas as well that probably snuck into that, what I just mentioned there. I feel like this needs to be like steel. You know? Something like that, you know, with like buttons on top or something. Now, if it was wood, yeah, I think it's okay if it's wood. It's not perfect by any means, but the wood helps. The wood is always sort of a signal. Hey, this was retroactively created and added by Mr. Twister, creepy weirdo who, because his park lost fame, he decided to make it a violent trap. All right. Yeah, yeah. Caesar, he's like a mad. Caesar says so. He's like a madman, blocking and adding stuff in the last minute. Yeah, I think this is great. I think we don't really need to go any crazier with this here. I feel like we could probably make the bars look a little bit more retroactively added. So maybe like rotate them a little bit. They don't need to look so precise. So like this. This. Maybe put some ropes on it. Again, this is one of you asked me earlier, why are you adding ropes to stuff? It's not because it's actually functional and makes sense. We're adding it because we want to fully clarify just how homemade these traps are, right? We don't want there to be a question as to whether there's traps, whether these are traps or they're built into the tower. Okay? We don't want that. What was funny is one of my primary insecurities. This is a really, really important lesson, and I want to share it with you guys so that you can learn from my mistakes. One of the biggest concerns I've had with this game is the art style. I'm so visually oriented that I'm so hyper focused on the visuals. And so I've been insecure about it. And I'm this way with every game that I make. I've been insecure about it for years. And it looks amazing, but I'm just always thinking, how can we make it look better? How can we make it look better? How can we make it look better? And everyone I've talked to who's played the demo is like, oh no, the game looks incredible. It looks like it's close to like AA, maybe even some scenes looking AAA. And they're like, you don't need to focus on the art style. You need to be focusing on the gameplay now, because the gameplay is suffering. So. Oh, this looks great. Yeah, this is going to work. So let's go ahead and screenshot this. And what's the lesson there, guys? The lesson is what you're insecure about in your game is very likely not the problem. So. All right. Try to think of anything else we need to do. Yes. Locks on doors. Locks on doors. So, if we enter play mode, well, actually, let's just go to this here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my lock here. We have a standard lock. This lock here does not look like it's retroactively added to this door. It looks like it's part of it looks like it's part of a like Doom or something, or Zelda. No, we want it to look like it was put there later, right? So what I want to do is add in a new lock design. First things first, who knows what Zelda does? Zelda, oh man, but do we want it to look like Zelda, you know? We'll do a big padlock here. We want the lock to be pretty big. Let's look up a vintage padlock. Yeah, you like that quote, JMA? You think I'm right there? What you're insecure about in your game is very likely not the problem. Vintage padlock. Do you know one of the first times I never got a search result from Google was when I searched inverted pterodactyl. I could not find an image of an inverted pterodactyl. But the industry's changing, you know? We've got AI art now, so if you want an inverted pterodactyl, you'll find one. Ooh, I love this one. So we're going to use that as a reference here. Also, we need to be, padlocks need to have colors. And they need to be pretty big. Let's just do a golden one here. How old am I? I'm 34 or 33. I know I don't look it. Maybe I do, actually. I don't know anymore. Inner shadow. And by the way, I usually don't get like super controlling about how things look. But right now, towards the end of development, I have a very precise vision in mind for what this game should look like. Just not because of the beauty of it, but because of like the story that we're trying to tell. And so that's why I'm doing all these concepts. I'm trying to be very precise with all of them. Let's do a inner stroke here. I think the better way to do this is to do this right here. Just like that. There we go. Same here. Big old hole. And like this. Now how we show the colors here is going to be a challenge, but we'll see. Okay, let's do those rounded pieces here. With a dot there. No, we're not going to use the same reference from the, or the same color from the reference image. Okay, now what we need to do is create that little lock here. And what I'm excited about is, you know, when this is all done, I believe at the end of June or end of May, I want to show you guys all of it, you know. All right. And we could just take this, duplicate it onto itself, do a white, right? And then just do this, I believe. Overlay, just to make it feel more 3D. Little drop shadow. Now the question is, again, how do we color this thing? You know, well, currently we have an emissive, and I think I want to do that. So some kind of a light behind this. How do we? Yeah. And it's not ideal, but it's just how the code works. It looks for the emissive. So we'll see what we can do here. Something like do a red emissive. Select, modify, contract by 15, delete. We'll do not 15, but 10. Yeah, and then do an outer glow. Why we got no noise? Yeah, I think it'll work actually. I think it'll work. Cool. Cool. Well, guys, I'm so sorry. I got to run. I got a meeting here. But if you're somebody who's always dreamed of making games and you're interested in supporting the channel and supporting what me and my team are doing, which is making content for YouTube, but also making games, doing it at the same time. And if you're interested in joining other 4,000 other students worldwide, check out Full-Time Game Dev below. This course is going to take you from knowing nothing about making games to pretty much learning everything I've learned about making games, including 3D art, 2D art. Those are included free, but just for this sale event, you got 13 days left. It's 50% off. You're going to learn about marketing your game, how to get a publisher, how to secure 6 figures with just a demo. No, it's not a gimmick. No, I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. It's actually possible. I've done it 3 different times, actually 4 different times. Get getting a full-time income with just a demo. You're also going to learn the technical side of making games. That's Godot, Unreal, or Unity. Learn all of them or only learn one. 2D, 3D. Kickstarter. How to hit the Steam front page, how to launch a game. C#, workbooks. It's freaking huge. This thing's freaking huge. So check out the link below. And remember, you get 2D and 3D Art Pro completely free, but only for the sale event. 50% off. Link is below. Talk to you guys later. Cheers! Get over here. Get down. Hey, thanks for watching. By the way, if you haven't downloaded that free 2D game kit below, click below. It's my treat to you. I used this game kit to make a game for PewDiePie in 14 days, and I actually got to play it with him in front of his audience, which was really cool. This game kit is totally free. It's my treat to you, and you can use it however you want. You can make a commercial game and make $1 million off this game kit. I don't care. Or you could just use it for a hobby project. It's my treat to you. And by the way, if you haven't clicked like, that would mean a ton to me. Hit subscribe. And also, this is important, hit that notification bell. Here's why. If you get notified of when I'm live, you can watch me make my next game and let me know in the chat what you think about the game or any ideas you have. And you might just show up. Your chat might just show up in the next video that I upload. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.